Hello, everybody. Travis Egan here from Hancock Mortgage Partners, and I am here with my friend Sara Beay from Lavender Birch Home Staging and Home Staging Milwaukee. And today in our local business spotlight, we wanted to learn a little bit more about home staging.
Awesome.
So let's get right into it, if you're okay with that. I guess the first question I want to ask is, what is home staging? Right? Like that, it's kind of a very encompassing question. So let's start with that. What is it?
Home staging really is the art of making your home most appealing to the target market. So if you're looking for a first-time home buyer, you might stage it a little different than, $1 million property. If you're looking at, a retired community, like home staging is really taking the target market and presenting the house in that light that appeals to the buyers
and the most
buyers. So paint colors, decor, less furniture, more furniture, depending on the situation.
So correct me if I'm wrong. It almost feels like it's interior design, but with a specific emphasis on someone who's trying to sell their home.
Correct.
Right. So it's taking the property as it sits and then trying to make it the most appealing for whomever might want to buy that.
Correct.
That target demographic.
Correct.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay.
Because interior design is more towards your taste and your style, whereas staging is more towards the target market style. And it's trendy, but not too trendy. Just warm and cozy, but and also helping them envision themselves living in that property.
So the best people that this particular type of design is suited for are someone who's presently selling their home now, or someone who is considering selling their home.
Absolutely.
And one of the things you and I have talked about previously, and I think it's really important to emphasize, is how we live in the house is not necessarily how we want to show the house.
Absolutely. And I think that's a concept that is very hard for both homeowners, agents, and just people in general to wrap their mind on. There's so much with HGTV that we see these gorgeous homes, and with our own home, we think it's gorgeous because it's all our memories, all our treasures. I know if I went to go sell my house today, I would have to change a lot because there's a lot of things that I love, but may not necessarily appeal to somebody who would want to buy my house.
So I may say it a little bit less diplomatic than you, right? And here's what I mean by that. I think we have way more, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know we're guilty of it in our house for sure. We have a lot more clutter and things in our home daily because that's how we live with it than we would ideally want to present it.
Exactly. That is a huge thing, especially in the kitchen, because they'll open the cabinets. Any buyers are going to open the cabinets, and we typically don't clean out our cabinets when we have company over. And if there's, let me be blunt, your crap falling out at you, which my cabinet is guilty of.
Tupperware or whatever it might be. Sure.
It gives the impression that there's no storage in the home. So really cutting down on all of that. A, you probably don't want to move half of it. B, if you can declutter all that, it's going to give the home appearance of more spacious, more clean, and like you can't fill it with your crap, so they're not going to be able to fill it with their crap.
Right, so they think, oh my gosh, there isn't much room in here, when in fact there may be plenty of room.
Exactly, and I'm going to give one little tidbit.
Sure.
Canned goods. If you just take the time to put all your labels forward, simple thing, but it gives the impression that if you take enough time to make sure all your canned goods are labeled forward, how well do you take care of the rest of the house? Because nobody has their canned goods labeled forward. It's just one of those little subtle mental things. If they open it and it's like all neat in rows and labels forward, you've already sent this message, I take care of this house.
Right, so obviously you wouldn't live like that necessarily, or you may, but most people don't live like that.
Most people don't, right? Including myself.
So then the other side of that is, what happens if they've got a job transfer or they're moving and their stuff is out of the house and the house is empty? I've heard that doesn't really help either.
No, I actually, probably the worst is an empty home, because even if it's a brand new construction or perfectly kept home, you see every little nick, you see every little flaw, because there's nothing for your eye to focus on. A couple months ago, I went into a flip, a beautiful flip, well done, except for the bedrooms didn't have overhead lights. And I happened to be in there at 5 o'clock in February, and I'm looking at this house with my cell phone. Not the best selling tip there.
So for the record, what a flip is, as most of you may know, but a flip is just a property that someone has bought and then updated it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're putting it back on the market after the updates.
And it's basically new, so it was gorgeous, but it was like, if I can't see it, you blocked me as a buyer. So really, and so there's that line of furniture, right size of furniture. I mean, if you have a huge living room and you put a love seat in, it doesn't look right. If you have a massive or a small living room and you put in a sectional, that doesn't look right either. So you're learning to scale that and appeal to so many people.
So I've been in a couple of the homes that you've staged.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, in one of the properties in particular, I won't say which property because I certainly don't want to embarrass anybody, but the property that I was in, it had a family and they were living their lives and did the best they could with small children. And that has its function. It has to work functionally for the family. Mm-hmm. After you went through and helped them stage it, it showed remarkably better. It honestly, it was unbelievable, and it was subtle. It wasn't necessarily huge changes. It was just a couple of subtle changes that made a significant impact on the overall appearance of the home to somebody else who hadn't seen it before.
Exactly. And like I offer different levels, so that what you're talking about is what the walkthrough service is. So I'm the bad guy. I go in and I talk to the homeowner, and I really get them on the page of the way we live in our houses and the way we should sell our house. And I really try to feel them out too, as far as where they're how badly do they want to sell the house? Do they need to sell the house? Or is this just kind of, well, if we get this money for it, we're leaving? Because that definitely, their work based on that is going to make a difference as well.
So if I understand that service in particular, that's kind of where you go through the house and talk with them and then kind of give them a blueprint to follow to maximize.
Yeah.
And that's a relatively inexpensive service.
Yeah. I mean, that's $150. I mean, I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
And it's a checklist for both, and I send it to both the homeowner and the realtor, so the realtor too can see what I'm recommending and see the changes that are made. And I break it down room by room, and I really make it like a checklist. So, living room, boom, boom, boom. And sometimes it's like moving a couch or removing an item or adding an item. Because I really work with what they have if I can.
So if you're a realtor, I mean, that would be an incredibly valuable tool to have, right? To have that professional eye to come in. And I know, and I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of very, very talented real estate professionals who, well, they're in a tough spot sometimes, having to have that conversation about decluttering and all that. Like, I imagine that's not an easy conversation to have, where they can pawn that off on you, and then you can be the bad guy to come in and say, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, maybe we need to do this. What I love the idea of is, even if you're not necessarily have your home on the market right this second, but you're considering it, boy, that's a pretty good investment to see what things could we be doing in our home that could really help maximize the value before you hire an agent.
Spend the money and where not to spend the money. And I also have a lot of tricks and tips that really don't cost a lot, but could have a lot of return. I had a client with a higher end home, and they had a stain on the bathroom floor. I think they ended up replacing the floor for like $300. I mean, it was like just these little things that, because I'm in there, I see, I know what's trending.
And they just probably ignore it because it's an everyday thing that they
have a rug over it.
They deal around with it, but for someone who's looking to spend significant hundreds of thousands of dollars, that becomes that becomes very important.
Because honestly, they would rather put the money into the mortgage and spend the money that way up front than move into a house that they have to do. And
almost always. And I can tell you that's
unless you're buying a flip, but
that's 100% true for me. I'm a guy that looks at a hammer and doesn't know which way to use it. Like, I'm really good with the money part of it. I am not good with the fixed part of it. My wife and children will attest. I am terrible at that. But I'm also smart enough to know I'm terrible at it, and then I go hire a pro. to do the work that needs to be done because I'll just mess it up
Mm-hmm.
and spend more money once I hire the pro to come in and fix my mess.
Right.
What I also love about your service, if you don't mind, is that entry level we talked about. But what's nice is you really kind of cater all levels.
I do.
Right? So if you're selling a $7 million house in Lake Geneva, that's a different level of home staging than if you're selling a $125,000, starter home.
Correct.
Right? They don't need those same services, so
Right.
the expenses are vastly different.
Correct.
And it really is. It's not that one is necessarily more expensive than the other. One just may need more time and energy based on size. Right? If you have a 6,000 square foot home versus a 1,200 square foot home, the services are really kind of catered specifically to the needs
Of the home.
of the seller.
Right. And it's really the National Realtors Association, and then I posted on my Facebook today, there's a lot of studies based on, if you take 1%, I know you were talking about this the other day, of the value of the home, and you invest that into staging, your return is going to be 10, 20, I've seen it as high as 30,000 or 30% of that investment because your house is going to sell quicker. And even in today's market, I think I'm running into that a lot because today's market is very hot, and you can sell, you really can. But the more appealing your property is, the more bids you're going to get. You're going to get the multiple bids. You're going to get a higher price, and you really are.
And the key in that, as I understand it, is, and I'm probably not the person who should be having this conversation. This should really be left to the hands of a real estate professional.
Mm-hmm.
I luckily have lots of friends who are real estate agents, but I am not one. My understanding is, though, that the hottest time for a house is right when it comes on the market, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's the hottest. And if you can get the right amount of momentum, because think about it, you are competing in your price point against other homes in that price point.
Exactly.
So the more attractive you can make your home, there are always buyers looking in every price point.
Exactly.
The more attractive the home is, the more momentum it creates. The more momentum, the more likely, you said, that's where you get yourself into abusive bidding wars where homes sell for 15, 20, 30,000 over list price, and sometimes for cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I always believe, just from strictly from an economic standpoint, properties sell at the market value, right? So speed is always a function of price, but price is really a function of attractiveness.
Exactly.
So the more attractive the home is, the more you can command for that price versus something else.
Exactly.
And two homes, one that has been decluttered, I'll say it, and one that has not, the home that's been decluttered is going to sit on the market longer and sell for less than the other one, even if the amenities are the same.
Exactly.
Which to me is incredibly valuable information to have.
Exactly. And even if you have a listing out there that has been sitting for a while and you're just not getting the showing, there's really two pieces to that. One is the pictures, because 95% of your target market is going to be looking online first. So you need to make sure you have great pictures. The other piece is making sure that it shows well for picture. And I've come in, a house has been sitting on 3-4 months. I come in and I've had multiple times where 2 weeks later they have multiple offers, because I come in, I'm bringing in furniture, or I'm rearranging what they have, and really getting them the price they need. Focusing on, and this is another thing too, when you're really thinking about the pictures and how things look in pictures, is also different. Furniture arrangement might be different. It might be rugs tend to show weird in pictures, so it's always kind of the toss up on rugs. You want to focus on fireplaces versus the back of a couch in a picture, because the couch is moving, the fireplace is staying. So let's highlight those things and show them off.
So that brings up another thing for me, and obviously this is not a conversation that we need to be having now. Oh, let me decline this. But right now, one of the big things I'm seeing is I see some agents that do very, very well, who will actually hire professional photographers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear, right? And I've seen some agents who are taking pictures of properties on their cell phones.
Yes.
And that's clear. And as good as our cell phones are, they're not better than professional photographer who knows how to light and stage and put it properly. So in combination, a great photographer and a great home stager, maybe not in that order. Boy, I imagine that adds tremendous value.
Absolutely.
And the agents that use those services, that use a professional photographer or use a stager like yourself, I think their properties tend to sell faster and they have happier customers.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I'm selling a home, I would definitely want to have a conversation with you, even if I'm not quite ready to sell, just so I know what to do to get ready to sell. Right?
I've had clients call me a year before they're ready to sell. They're like, we need time. We want to know where to spend our money and what to do. And that's good if you've been living there a long time, especially because I think sometimes it becomes overwhelming. Or if you're selling your parents' home as well, that's very emotionally hard. And I really
getting rid of a couch can be the couch that really has some emotional connection to a member of the family or something like that.
Right.
Sure.
Or I had a situation that the parents had passed, unfortunately, and they were like, the closets were full of memory, but they were full of memory. And I'm like, you're either going to have to deal with this now or later. For showing purposes, it's better to do it now and make it look better.
And that to me is one of the things that makes your services unique, is that you'll let them do it themselves, or you'll go in and do it for them.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not stepping out of line here.
No, and absolutely. Like, we have in-house painting for smaller jobs. We don't do cathedral ceiling. But if it's a small room that needs painting, we have that. We have a handyman. We have, in a movie, even just if it's an older and they have great furniture, we might come in and just rearrange things and add some fresh art or pillows, and that's all we do. So it's really a variety of levels that we can offer.
There's not one size fits all, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely not.
But you do have that entry level, the service where you could come in and help them with that. Sara, I really think what you're doing is spectacular, and very rarely am I kind of blown away. But when you actually experience and you see a home before it was staged and then a home after it was staged, and you get that wow moment. That's what happened for me. Is I had a wow moment where I went, whoa. This doesn't even, clearly it's the same house structurally.
Right.
But it felt different. The energy was there. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a uniquely different experience. And I think in some of the properties I think we do a disservice if we don't present a property in its best light.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a real estate agent. And so if you're a realtor, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to Sara. You can certainly message her. You can click on her name, friend her, or you can click on the home stage in Milwaukee and send her a message there. How can they call you if they want to get a hold of you?
They can certainly call me. My number is 262-247-2529. Text me, Instagram, Facebook.
And your website is lbhomestaging.com. lbhomestaging.com. I'll put a link in the description. I'll edit that and put the link in there for that. And your phone number on there.
And I would love to have coffee. I'm a big coffee person, so if you just want to sit and chat.
I'm a big coffee person too.
I do coffee.
So thank you very much, Sara. Is there anything that I have left out that you'd like me to address or like to share with the viewers?
I want realtors to understand too. I don't know how many times I've had the homeowner come back to me and say, thank you. In fact, I recently had a homeowner. I only did her living room. She ended up moving out of state, and she calls me and she's like, will you help me design my new house over Skype? And so I'm helping her with her new house over Skype. So it's super exciting. But she just loved the energy that I brought in and matched what she had so that it tied together. So.
Well, excellent. Thank you. Do yourself a favor. Reach out to Sara. Message Sara. Call Sara. I think we really will help the sellers in this area. And service area. So you pretty much cover, if I correct, from like the North Shore of like Ozaukee County, kind of all the way over to Madison and south down to like the northern counties of Illinois, correct? So you have a huge geographical area.
I do.
You're not necessarily just tied into Walworth County or Racine or Kenosha County. Like you'll go everywhere.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So once again, thank you all for watching this local business spotlight with Sara Beay and Lavender and Birch Home Staging. Please reach out to her. We look forward to seeing you next time on Local Business Spotlight. Have a great day.